LCARA Ham Radio presents a Time Machine Tuesday vintage video release.
Welcome to Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association. You can find us at LCARA.net, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. If you're enjoying the videos we're producing here at LCARA, please help our club out by hitting that subscribe button. Also, give us some feedback on our videos. Click the like button, share with anybody who may find it interesting, and be sure and hit the bell icon to make sure you get notified of the next video release.
I'm KY4BDP Brian for the Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association. And today, what do I have? Yet another antenna, but this time not for the compound. No, this antenna is going to go on my truck. Now, I've actually got an antenna on my truck and it's done reasonably well, but I just recently broke it. And I was just telling KY4CKP the other day, I can fix that with a little bit of solder, but I thought that gives me an opportunity maybe to go look for something that might work in my particular area a little bit better. So, voila. I ended up picking up another antenna from Comet. Now, as some of you know, if you watch the channel, I like Comet antennas, especially what we've used for the 70 centimeters and the 2 meter that we use both on the repeater site and here at the compound where we do our Echolink transmissions. And I thought, well, why not try another Comet antenna? Been happy with them so far. The other thing I was looking is you can get the really short little base mount, magnetic mount antennas. I used to have one of those when I first got started in the hobby, and it does fine. In fact, we use that with the emergency communications trailer. We just put it on top of that trailer and we can reach the repeater great with that. So I've already repurposed that antenna, but I wanted to get an antenna that's quite a bit longer. And if you look at this antenna, you can see that it is a bit longer. And I'm just trying to see if there's an actual length here on the packaging. About 40 inches it says. That's a bit longer and it's going to give me a little bit better gain on both 2 meters and 70 centimeters. This is the Comet CA-2x4SR, the Nancy Mary Oscar mounted antenna in this application, again for 70 centimeters and 2 meters. Potentially it could work on other bands, but I'm just going to focus on those two. And then for the base, I'm going to go with the Nagoya. This is a massive magnetic mount for the base here, so that we can actually put it on top of the truck. And even though this is a longer whip, it should be in good shape regardless, so that I don't have to worry about it falling over. Bought it for just that very purpose. It's for I think antennas as long as 48 inches. This one's 40, so I should be in good shape. It's got a PL259N. It's got, of course, the NMO mount on the base here, and it'll fit right in the middle of the roof of my truck, on the cab of the truck here. Great ground plane for the antenna. I'm really excited to see the kind of sensitivity and gain that I get from this mount plus the antenna together. But wait, there's more. Reading the reviews on this antenna, there were a number of posts talking about there was an upgrade for this antenna where it connects to the base, but really on the antenna itself, where you can give it a little bit of a spring, because this antenna goes right to the base and it's rigid. And if you were to hit anything terribly hard, you could break it. And I'm thinking, this spring is installed in line with the antenna, and it gives your antenna that little bit of give, so that if you do hit something, the antenna doesn't just, snap or bend in a bad way. The spring will give. So we're going to install this as well as a part of this project. So we have an antenna, the CA-2x4SR. We have the upgrade spring kit for that antenna, and we have the Nagoya RB-50 magnetic mount, heavy duty magnetic mount for antennas up to 48 inches, I believe that is. So when I bring you back in the next segment, we're going to pull all the pieces out. We're going to start putting this together. A couple of Allen wrenches is all I think I'm going to need. Then we'll go out to the truck and we'll actually do some testing and see if we can't reach somebody on the repeaters. So in the next segment, let's get started. Well, welcome back to Brian's Antenna Corner. Well, something. To get started, what we need to do is take out this portion of the antenna right here. And what's going to go in its place is a small rod that comes with the spring kit. That's actually going to go into here. So this will replace part of this. Once I have the small rod in place, tighten that down with some Allen wrenches here. couple of set screws. This will go on top of it, and this is your spring. You'll notice that if I can bend this a little bit, and this is what's going to give it some give, so that if it does hit something, this will go on top of the rod that I've just installed. You can see the top portion is going to replace the rest of this rod right here, and it's going to go into this top portion. There are 2 set screws at 90 degrees that I'll need to tighten down on this. Once I have this piece installed, the smaller piece, set screws, put this on top of it, tighten the set screws on the spring kit piece, then insert this end into this part of the antenna, tighten those set screws down. We should be good to go, and that will actually be the upgrade on this part of the antenna. Then it'll be testing it on the magnetic base, make sure everything works there, and then taking it out to the truck. So let's go ahead. I'll probably speed the video up a little bit here. We'll go ahead and install this portion of the kit. Alright, so that's the bottom portion. I'm a little bit anxious about this because it can slide in and out a decent amount, and I don't know if this is supposed to cover this all the way down to where it touches or not. So when we come back here, I'm probably going to adjust this just a little bit more. So speed it up one more time. Okay, so fiddling with it a little bit, I think I have figured out that it should fit snugly down. This sleeve right here acts as a collar on the inner sleeve. So if I insert the rod all the way in, tighten it down on this piece of the antenna, then slide the spring kit on top of that, tighten that down, that it's just long enough, and this gives me good connectivity and it's not going anywhere. So just double check the tightness there when you install this. Now the next piece, let's put this over here, and by the way, you may have noticed I did get the instructions out. Yes, Brian does read instructions. In fact, when I did the installation of the fiberglass mast the other day, somebody pointed out that I could have done that a little differently. I read the instructions quickly, thought I had it figured out, and then you saw me almost lose part of the antenna when I was putting it on top, and I could have saved myself a little bit of trouble. In any event, I do have a genetic defect. I'm not sure which side of the family I got it on. I don't like to read instructions, so I pulled them out. There's not very much to it. Now the next piece is to take this part of the rod out. This is the original part of the rod on the antenna. So we're actually going to pull this out because the spring piece replaces this. So we'll loosen these two. They're actually 90 degrees out. This will slide right out. And then this should just slide right in. And then all I have to do is tighten the 2 set screws that are 90 degrees out, and Don's your Elmer. We should be done at this point. So let's tighten that down there, turn it 90. And you know, I'm going to go back on these and put some Loctite on them. One of the things I learned in the Marine Corps working with some of the gear in aviation, worked on F-18s when I was in, there's so much vibration on a lot of the screws that we use that we had to use Loctite. And there's different versions of Loctite, but I'm going to have to put some on all of these set screws for the permanent install. I'm not going to do that right now though, but just letting you know it needs some Loctite. But that's it. You know, this thing will now bend, so it has some give to it. Now let's do a test fit with the magnetic base at this point, and let's see what this is going to look like. And this should be the easy part. Nagoya makes good products. I've never had a problem with a Nagoya product, not one time. Almost all the antennas, not all, but many of the antennas that I use on my HTs are Nagoyas, except for a couple of exceptions. I have a diamond on my FT2DR, and we do have that RB antenna that actually works pretty well. But everything else is Nagoya. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw off the black cap here, and you can see this is a large base. If I had to guess as far as the diameter of this, as far as the magnetics, probably looking at about 4 inches. All right, so 3.5, 4 inches, somewhere in that ballpark. And then again, this nice length of cable. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to try to keep this in frame, but this should screw right on the top of this. So let's give that a go. Now, typically, what I would do before screwing this in place, let me double check that I've got everything lined up here, is put some Vaseline on the base so that when I screw it in, the odds of some type of corrosion will be reduced, but probably a little bit of Vaseline will probably help. This is taking a while to catch. There we go. Finally caught there, and then tighten this down. There we go. And you can see with this actually on metal that this should sit on the cab really well, be nice and flat. It does have a skirt here to give it even a little bit more rigidity from moving from side to side. So if I just kind of hold it down, you can kind of see the spring gives it that little bit of give as well. And if we hit it even further up, you get more of that wobble effect instead of it being so rigid. So a couple of things we already know: a little bit of Vaseline at the base, which I'll do off camera. Probably some Loctite, which I have some for other purposes when working with firearms and things like that. And we'll put some Loctite on these screws because of the vibrations and the environment that I'm going to put this in. The worst thing about these set screws is they'll wiggle out. I mean, it just doesn't take much at all. So a little bit of Loctite on those. But in the meantime, what I'll do is we'll go out to the truck, we'll put it up on top of the cab, clean off the section, and then we'll hook it up to the radio and see how it does. So I'll bring you back in the next segment. We'll be out at the truck. Okay, so now we're at the cab side. I've got the antenna up here. I've already cleaned and washed this section of the truck, although probably you can't tell. But in any event, you can see that it gives it a nice wide base. And once we get the cable down and let in on the other side, we'll hook it up to the radio. Now there's another feature of this antenna, because you can see my garage up front. With this antenna, the way it's positioned now, I can't get my truck into the garage. And the one of the reasons I bought this, and we'll see how well I ultimately end up using this feature or not, is that the antenna has the ability to come up and lay down. And I guess I could lay it down the other way. And that way I can get it into the garage for those times that I want to keep the truck in the garage. And when you're ready to go someplace and want to use the antenna, you just pop it back up into place. So not only does the spring now give it additional ability to bend if we hit a branch or something, but it does have the ability to lay down as well. So one of the other reasons why I bought this. Next, what we're going to do is actually hook it up to the radio. So in the next segment, I'll bring you back. We'll hook it up to the radio and we'll try hitting the repeater from this, utilizing this antenna with this really good ground plane right here. And we'll see how well we can reach out. I'm really excited to give it a go, and I have a lot of high hopes for this antenna. So I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're in the truck. I've run the antenna cable, and what looked like way too much cable, it's actually just about right. Go figure. And so what I've got out here is my trusty MFJ 269. So I wanted to double check the standing wave on this particular antenna. And I don't expect it to be 1-to-1, but anything below 2, and hopefully a bit below 2, would be nice. So I'm going to check 2 meters first, and I'm not going to be able to bring you close enough. So hopefully if you can see this, great. If I can zoom in, I'll zoom in. Right now, our repeater's at 146.88 for 2 meters. So I'm going to come down to 146.88. That's really close. Coming in at about right there, 146.88, 146.89. We're at 1.4. And that'll be the frequency I use a lot. So that's not bad at all. Now, let's switch to 70 centimeters. Now, I've got the FTM 400 out, and I can switch between 70 centimeters and 2 meters quite easily. So let's turn off the MFJ. Let's go to UHF, and let's turn this back on. Now, our repeater here in Somerset is going to be at, let's see, 440. Okay. So we're back. Now I'm going to try UHF, and I had to, for some reason, my brain just wouldn't think about what we use for 70 centimeters at the repeater. Turning on the FTM 400, I figured out it's 443.600. So what we're going to do is turn on the MFJ 269, and we're going to dial this in to 443.600. So let's see here, going up a little bit here, 443. Very touchy. Yeah, it's going to be about 1.8 as it currently sits. So below 2, not the greatest. 1.4 on 2 meters, about 443.6, a little bit less than that right now. It's coming down a smidgen. About 1.8. So that won't be too bad, and it'll definitely work. So now let's hook it up to the radio and let's see if we can make a contact. So I'll be right back. All right, so now we've got the antenna hooked up to the radio. Let's reach out on the repeater and let's see how well we're picking up. Now I'm sitting in my driveway. Eventually I'm going to run some tests where I'm out on the road. And usually I like to test these when I'm on the way to the airport because I do travel quite a bit, or usually I do. Right now, not so much. But let's reach out and let's see if we could touch the both of the repeaters, both the 2 meters and the 70 centimeters. This is KY4 BDP testing repeater access. So we did get a tail squelch from the repeater, and that means, but I didn't get the ID, so it means somebody hit the repeater a little while ago. KY4 BDP testing, is AC4DM out there?
KY4 BDP, AC4DM.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Don. Just testing out a new antenna here on the truck and making a video. How's the reception?
Full quality. Very good signal. Go ahead.
Yeah, you sound full quiet on my end as well. Perfect. Okay, well, I'm going to switch over to 70 centimeters. If you can give me a quick signal check there, that'd be great.
Roger on that. AC4DM.
KY4 BDP clear. Now let's switch over to 70 centimeters. The SWR was a little bit higher, but again, it's still below 2. And for the amount of time that I'm going to use it, probably not going to be an issue. So let's give that a shot. KY4 BDP testing 70 centimeter repeater access. And he may not be listening on 70, so not sure why he's not coming back, but we're not worried about that. We got the repeater ID. I'm getting a tail squelch. So I think I'm in pretty good shape, and I'm pretty happy with this. Getting out there, testing it actually out on the road is going to be the best test for this. But we know it's installed well, and we know that it's not going to harm the radio as far as a really high SWR. So we'll go ahead and stop the video right here. I want to thank...
AC4DM.
Here's AC4DM. Hello there, AC4DM on 70 centimeters. How's your day going today?
N-O-L-C-A.
That's actually the 2 meter repeater.
It's going real fine, Brian. Just busy tinkering around here. How's your day going?
Going really well. I had some training and thought, well, let's go ahead and knock out a video on this new antenna and get the FTM 400 installed in the truck, and just having some fun. Got the old boxer dog here in the truck with me, and he wanted to be on video today.
Well, you know, just us humans, I guess, don't need one to be stars, so I guess we're going to have a star boxer.
Roger that. Great to hear from you, and hopefully the situation where everybody's pretty much staying at home, hopefully that'll get lifted soon. But appreciate you coming back, and this video will come out this Friday.
All right, very very good. Well, good to hear you in there. And so forth, and you're sounding good on both bands, so sound like the antenna's going to work for you. KY4 BDP, AC40M.
KY4 BDP clear. Thanks so much, AC4DM. So there we have it. Again, as I was just about to close, getting it out on the road is actually going to be the best test. So let's go ahead and stop the video here. You got a chance to see the antenna installation. Pretty straightforward and simple. Remember, I'm the one putting it together, so sometimes it's not as simple as it could be, but pretty happy with it thus far. A little more testing, we'll get a chance to see how well it does in the real world. Don't forget, this antenna has the spring kit installed. Put some Vaseline on the connectors for the NMOs and use some Loctite on those set screws. Loctite's really going to be necessary with the vibrations that you're going to have in this application. Other than that, I think it's going to be a great antenna. I'm KY4 BDP Brian for the Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association. Hope you enjoyed the video. 73s.